Chapter 281. You didn't sleep for the entire night and went through extra training early in the morning. You should be very tired. Dmo Xian flipped over and got down from the bed, his purple robe fluttering in the wind, leaving behind a gorgeous shadow. That peerless face of his didn't reveal any unnaturalness at all. As though washing Yiqing Luo's clothes was an extremely normal thing to do. In just a few steps, Dmo Xian had already stopped in front of Yiqing Luo. That whiff of sandalwood fragrance almost made Yiqing Luo intoxicated. You. Yiqing Luo's eyes sparkled as her heart pounded furiously. Because he was afraid that she was too tired, so he washed her clothes for her? Had he done such a thing before? Did his action of washing her clothes represent that he already had an answer in his heart? Her words were not able to complete. Yiqing Luo's body suddenly leaned forward as she fell into Dmo Xian's arms. The next second, the man's arm wrapped around her waist tightly. Lil Luo, the question you asked me this morning, I've thought about it for a long time. Dmo Xian's hoarse voice rang beside her ear. Long? Was this considered long? This concerned their future, even a lifetime's matter, even if it was considered for a few days, or even a few months. It was very normal. Dmo Xian's long arm tightened a little, his scorching breath almost stuck to Yiqing Luo's neck. After thinking about it, I still follow my initial thoughts. In love, he didn't know how to beat around the bush, nor did he need to beat around the bush. This kind of question dragged on for a long time, would only make the other party's imagination run wild. Lil Luo, I don't know what's called love a person. Dmo Xian squinted his peach blossom eyes, his voice bewitching, deep and husky, intoxicating one's heart. His 5 fingers grabbed Yiqing Luo's little hand, forcefully inserted into the gaps of her fingers, 10 fingers interlocked. Yiqing Luo's heart pounded violently, as her breathing became hurried. Dmo Xian's words, she indistinctly understood the meaning behind it. Her pink lips trembled, her voice was dry and slightly nervous. I also don't understand this kind of feeling. It was because he did not understand that when he faced Dmo Xian, his heart that was beating wildly would reflexively accelerate. Because she didn't understand, after getting used to Dmo Xian's hugs, touches, kisses, and even falling asleep beside him, that ambiguous feeling started to accumulate bit by bit. Yiqing Luo was not one to procrastinate. Even in the face of love, it was the same. She had lived 2 lives, but she had never experienced such a thing. She had spent her life in a storm of blood, fighting, and killing. But after all, she was a woman. Towards this mysterious and unfathomable man who was so strong that he could destroy the heavens and earth with a flick of his finger, there was no doubt that Yiqing Luo's heart was moved. So, what's your answer? Yiqing Luo looked up. The man's smooth jawline came into view. A hint of hesitation appeared on that peerless face of his. He furrowed his brows, feeling extremely uneasy. It was obvious that Dmo Xian was nervous. Aware of this, Yiqing Luo's brows flowed with a shallow gentleness. Her pair of charming eyes were filled with smiling intent, as the lines of her beautiful face became even more bewitching and gentle. Dmo Xian, give me your answer. She opened her mouth once again, as her enchanting eyes overflowed with some banter and ridicule. She stretched out her hand, as it circled around Dmo Xian's neck, while the other hand's fingertip followed his brows, tracing his contours. Dmo Xian's lips curled up slightly, as his pitch-black pupils reflected Yiqing Luo's face. She was charming and lovely, her peerless beauty was unparalleled. It was all in his eyes, presenting the most beautiful picture. Chapter 282. Yiqing Luo's hair fell on Dmo Xian's chest, entwining with him tightly. You asked me this morning if I like you. The man's voice was blurred between his teeth. He kissed her and released Yiqing Luo, giving her another light peck. Then he placed his head on Yiqing Luo's neck. The scorching breath, the thin lips brushed past Yiqing Luo's skin, causing her delicate body to tremble. I had been thinking about this question for the whole day, asking my heart repeatedly. Dmo Xian's voice was languid, with a hint of nervousness. There has never been anyone who could lead my thoughts, who could linger in my heart. Dmo Xian's lips curled up, his finger stroked Yiqing Luo's swollen pink lips. His finger, with a scorching temperature, ignited Yiqing Luo's lips. After I go back today, in my eyes, mind and heart, it will be filled with your figure. The whole day, Dmo Xian thought about it for the whole day. His mind was filled with Yiqing Luo's figure. He even thought that if he didn't like Yiqing Luo would definitely keep a distance from him. By then, Yiqing Luo would throw herself into someone else's arms. Just a picture, Dmo Xian's chest was filled with a raging fire, his heart, liver, spleen, lungs and kidneys had a feeling of exploding. He absolutely would not allow a second man to appear by Yiqing Luo's side. This kind of thought, didn't it precisely prove his heart? I can't wait for a moment, after I realize this feeling, I can't wait to hold you in my arms. Dmo Xian's face, rubbed twice on Yiqing Luo's neck. If this wasn't love, Dmo Xian could totally put this matter behind him after he and Yiqing Luo separated. But Yiqing Luo's question, and the answer that Yiqing Luo wanted, was replayed in his mind, word by word. There was no intention to stop at all. This was the first time in Dmo Xian's life, he couldn't control his own heart. This is your answer? Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips, both hands cupped his face. You don't regret it? The gap between them was too big. If they were together, they would definitely face a lot of disputes and obstructions in the future. I never regret what I do. Dmo Xian's peerlessly handsome face stuck to her fair little hand, especially, towards you, I have no regrets. His large palm held onto Yiqing Luo's little hand as a pair of glistening eyes gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. Moreover, you don't have the chance to regret. From the moment I asked that question, I have no intention of regretting it. Yiqing Luo smiled sweetly, her eyes were filled with determination. We don't know much about each other, and we haven't spent a lot of time together. However, if we make this decision, we'll have plenty of time to get to know each other, and walk into each other's worlds. Dmo Xian's long and narrow brows narrowed slightly, outlining a devilish curve. His pitch-black pupils gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo. That delicate and lovely face was full of amorous feelings. That pair of eyes were filled with determination. It was as if one could feel boundless hope just by looking into them. The smile in Dmo Xian's eyes deepened and the lines on his face turned gentler. This was the woman he fancied. She was not pretentious at all. If he liked her, then he liked her. If he didn't like her, then he would cut it off immediately. Such a woman with such character, how could he not like her, how could he not love her? Lil Luo, is handing over the rest of her life to me? Chapter 283. Yiqing Luo's body softened in Dmo Xian's arms. Her cheeks were flushed and her eyes overflowed with a smile, enchanting like a flower. Since I chose to believe you and choose to be with you, I have also thought about the future. This kind of relationship, perhaps to Yiqing Luo, was a little too fast. But at least, she took the initiative to take the first step for this relationship. Even if she really died in the future, she would not regret it. She and Dmo Xian did not spend too much time together. But every time, Dmo Xian was able to make her heart beat faster. Dmo Xian's eyes were deep as his palm caressed her delicate face. You'd better think carefully. If you're entangled by me, you'll never be able to escape the love net that I've set for you in this lifetime. I will gladly endure hardship. Yiqing Luo's lips curled into a smile. A pair of soft hands had already wrapped around Dmo Xian's neck. Hooking him downwards, she took the initiative to offer her red lips. However, in the next second, Yiqing Luo was turned around. Her body suddenly fell backwards as Dmo Xian's warm and rough kiss landed fiercely on her lips. The elegant sandalwood fragrance overflowed, almost making Yiqing Luo faint. Yiqing Luo's curly long eyelashes, unnaturally fluttered, covered with a layer of hazy feeling. Her heart missed a few beats, throbbing incessantly. This kind of intimacy, this kind of kiss, was not the first time she and Dmo Xian had. But this time, it made Yiqing Luo's whole body go limp. Her eyes were like silk, her mind was a blank, intoxicated in this kiss, unable to extricate herself. Was it because the relationship between them, from ambiguous, had become open and aboveboard? The change of the state of mind, the feeling of the kiss, was not the same. The two of them were intimate until it was nearing the time of the canteen's opening. Dmo Xian then reluctantly loosened his arms around Yiqing Luo's delicate body, his face full of resentment. Oh yes, Dmo Xian, our relationship. Can we keep it a secret for now? Yiqing Luo pondered for a moment and said, I want to rely on my own strength, to stand at the same height as you, side by side with you to look at the prosperous times. Although she had confirmed the relationship with Dmo Xian, but Yiqing Luo still hoped that her own cultivation path would still proceed according to her own plan. If she had Dmo Xian's protection, she would indeed be able to lead a peaceful life without any worries. But in her bones, she was burning with the hot blood of an adventurer. Ordinary days did not suit her. What Yiqing Luo wanted was to have the taste of standing by Dmo Xian's side one day, and not to blindly follow behind Dmo Xian, protected by him. Good. Dmo Xian's heart was deeply moved. Yiqing Luo saying these words was within his expectations. However, he was still deeply shaken. Since ancient times, no matter how high a woman's Xian rank was, or how talented she was in cultivation, after marriage, she would treat her husband as the sky, and be the woman behind her husband's family. And his little Luo heir had to stand by his side and walk side by side with him. Dmo Xian, who was about to leave, abruptly turned back and stretched out his long arms, pulling Yiqing Luo into a tight embrace. I believe that this day won't take long, I will wait for you. Yiqing Luo pushed him. You should leave first, after all this is the academy, if you are discovered by others, it would cause a commotion. Dmo Xian pursed his thin lips, his fingertips brushed the long hair on Yiqing Luo's cheek to the side of her ear. What did you forget to call me again? Yiqing Luo's eyelids drooped slightly. It's just a form of address, no need to be so serious. Chapter 284. Would she die if she didn't mention her underwear? Yiqing Luo blushed. This man didn't allow her to say anything and just washed her clothes. Forget about washing the uniform, a lady's personal belongings. He actually washed them too. She had yet to settle the score with him and he dared to use this matter to block her? Yiqing Luo raised her fist and pounded on Dmo Xian's chest, gritting her teeth as she gave a snort. If you can't call my name, then call me husband. Husband? Dmo Xian accurately caught Yiqing Luo's fist and placed it in front of his chest as his lips curled into a teasing arc. Damn. Simply too shameless. Yiqing Luo's eyes twitched as she heard Lu Xiaoyu's call from outside the door. She gritted her teeth and spat out two words, ah. Xian. Why did it feel that every time she called his name, she was being forced? These two words just spilled out from Yiqing Luo's pink lips. Her body, which was tightly wrapped in his warm embrace, suddenly felt light. In front of her, Dmo Xian's figure had disappeared. She chased a few steps forward and walked to the half-opened window as she stuck her head out. Outside the window, there were only a few female students walking by. She didn't see Dmo Xian's tall and slender figure. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze as both her hands rested on the window sill as she looked down absent-mindedly. Her fair little hands slowly pressed down on her heart. Her heart was thumping, the frequency of its beating had not slowed down because of Dmo Xian's departure. Dmo Xian's sandalwood scent lingered in the air. What remained on her body was Dmo Xian's scorching heat. Condensing her own palms, she could still vaguely feel the touch of Dmo Xian holding her little hand. Yiqing Luo couldn't help but burst out laughing. She had been instilled with the concept not to fall in love with anyone since a long time ago. Her existence was to carry forward the Yi family, this hidden family, and to work hard to contribute to the country. She had no right to talk about love. She had never thought that there would be such a day, like a little girl, lost because of a man's departure. Qing Luo. Qing Luo, are you asleep? Lu Xiaoyu called out from outside the door. Yiqing Luo suddenly regained her senses as her slender fingers clenched tightly. I'm here. She straightened her clothes, walked over quickly, and opened the door. Lu Xiaoyu stood at the door, and when she saw Yiqing Luo coming out, she heaved a sigh of relief. Just now student Mo told me that you've arranged to meet at 5 p.m. and it's almost 5 p.m. Mo Yuying? Yiqing Luo's brows rose slightly as she glanced at Mo Yuying's room door. The door was still tightly shut. Student Mo has already left. Lu Xiaoyu patted Yiqing Luo's shoulder. Today's meal is off, I'll treat you again next time. Regarding Mo Yuying's identity, everyone in the academy knew that she was a student of the devil class. Otherwise, Shangguan Liuli, who was a new student, wouldn't have changed her attitude the moment she saw Mo Yuying, and even tried to make a move on her. Lu Xiaoyu felt that now that Yiqing Luo had entered the devil class, she would be Mo Yuying's classmate. For Mo Yuying to meet Yiqing Luo, it was definitely because of devil classes matters. Yiqing Luo recalled that Xiao Jin mentioned that the devil classes students had to report to the training grounds at 5 p.m. Yiqing Luo nodded her head as she walked directly towards the devil class's direction. To Yiqing Luo, she was already a part of the devil class. Towards group activities, she tried her best not to be absent, so she wouldn't be absent. When she reached the devil class, she walked towards the bleak outer courtyard with ease. Just as she stood at the second door, Yiqing Luo's footsteps halted as her nostrils picked up a whiff of medicinal herb smell. Chapter 285. In the afternoon, when Yiqing Luo reported to the devil class, this door was smeared with an extremely light and refreshing herbal scent. At this moment, the smell of the medicine was a little pungent. So pungent that her head was aching faintly. She suddenly recalled that afternoon when she casually mentioned to change the suggestion of just smelling it. Yiqing Luo's lips twitched a few times. It was really accepted? But this smell was too obvious. Yiqing Luo covered her nose with one hand and held her feather fan with the other, intending to use her profound qi to push open the door, which was smeared with medicine. Clap, clap, clap. Suddenly, there were a few crisp claps in his ears. Someone's there? Yiqing Luo turned her head sharply. Behind her, a lady dressed in a lake green long dress was raising her hand and applauding. That lady's long dress was wrapped with a same color gauze waistband, and there were a few embroidered pouches hanging from it. Her dress was layered, and when she walked, she looked like a fluttering butterfly. The lady had a simple hair bun, and the jade hairpin made her look even more elegant and noble. I heard from the assistant class monitor that the new student in devil class knows how to refine medicine and her ability isn't small. I thought he was bragging, but I didn't expect. You actually have some skills. The lady's clear voice was like pearls falling on a plate, extremely pleasant to the ears. As the lady walked closer, a pleasant herbal scent floated over. Yiqing Luo seemed to have thought of something as she retracted the vigilance in her eyes and laughed lightly. In front of the young matriarch of the divine doctor family, this little ability of mine is nothing. It's just that my nose is more sensitive than ordinary people. You know me? Hearing Yiqing Luo accurately state her identity, the lady revealed an astonished expression. You deal with medicinal herbs all year round, so there will be remnants of herbal scent on your body. Yiqing Luo pointed at her own nose. According to my understanding, the only person in devil class who deals with medicinal herbs is one of the members of the class committee, Bei Ming Lulu. Indeed, an outstanding sense of smell. Bei Ming Lulu's eyes revealed some probing. It's rare that there's an alchemist in devil class. If you're free, we can discuss it together. Yiqing Luo nodded. She was just a half-baked alchemist, while Bai Ming Lulu had been well-versed in medical books since childhood, and was also known as the young master genius doctor with a magical hand that could bring the dying back to life. In terms of alchemy, she had quite a high attainment. She could also take the opportunity to ask about how to refine the elixir to repair Ziling's legs. It's almost 5 p.m. You should go in first. Bai Ming Lulu took out a handkerchief and wiped the ointment on the door before pushing open the second courtyard door. There were already many students standing on the training ground. Some were warming up, while others were chatting at the side. It was very lively. The minute Yi Qing Luo entered, there was a moment of silence on the training ground. But soon, the students shifted their gazes, and the commotion resumed. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi stood at one end of the training ground, and after seeing Yi Qing Shan, Qiao Jin walked over. Yi Qing Luo, you've just joined the class, and although you've joined the class committee, but for the students' training, you'll have to temporarily participate in it for a period of time. The class committee of the Devil class did not need to participate in the training together with the students. Their main task was to keep an eye on the students who were training, and to correct the students' mistakes in training, as well as to guide them. But Yi Qing Luo was a newcomer. Although she had defeated Dan Bai Shi and Tong Zi Qing the moment she arrived, but the students in the class were still unconvinced of her. Chapter 286. Sure. Yi Qing Luo agreed without any hesitation. She still needed more training to consolidate this body's foundation. Another round of training would absolutely be helpful to her. Qiao Jin nodded and returned to the training grounds, observing the other students. Yi Qing Luo had no interest in interacting with the others. Those students were curious and afraid of Yi Qing Luo, so under the situation where they didn't understand her, they naturally wouldn't initiate a conversation. Yi Qing Luo was happy to be alone as she walked to a corner and waited for the training to start. Get up and continue. Waste, you're the most waste in the entire class. Don't drag us down. Before she could steady herself, she heard an ear-piercing mocking laughter. Get up quickly. Someone stretched out his leg to kick her. A lady's dull moan was heard, bearing with the pain and sobbing tone, not daring to make a sound. Yi Qing Luo narrowed her eyes as she looked over. She saw 7 to 8 students forming a circle beside the weapons rack. There were 2 students who raised their legs, kicking the person who was surrounded. School violence, class violence was really everywhere. Ugh. Don't hit me, I'll run right away, I'll run right away. The lady kept on sobbing, drawing in cold breaths in pain. This voice. Yi Qing Luo's brows creased slightly as her gaze fixed on those students. Indeed, she saw that the lady who was surrounded by everyone was Ni Ruopan. She cut a sorry figure as her uniform was pulled into a mess, and her figure was so skinny that it seemed as though she wouldn't be able to stand steadily and fall onto the ground in the next second. Ni Ruopan climbed up and apparently saw Yi Qing Luo. She went into a slight daze and immediately lowered her head, supporting her tottering body as she ran past her. Her steps were staggering as she ran step by step with great difficulty. She hadn't run for a few steps when she fell onto the ground again. Coincidentally, she fell right beside Yi Qing Luo's feet. Ni Ruopan's eyes were red as she bit her lower lip tightly, not daring to look at Yi Qing Luo. Whereas those 7 to 8 students, on seeing Ni Ruopan fall once again, all of them started to laugh as they walked over. I already said this waste can't run more than a few steps. Waste is waste, she can't even run 2 rounds of the training grounds. Why do you think this kind of trash is still in the devil class? He's basically dragging down our collective standard. Yi Qing Luo heard these people's malicious words and lowered her head to look at Ni Ruopan, whose head was hung low, sobbing softly but not daring to rebuke at all. Her heart felt a burst of vexation. She frowned and took a few steps to the side. The students gathered around Ni Ruopan again and continuously ridiculed and insulted her. Yi Qing Luo gazed at Qiao Jin. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi didn't seem surprised at all, as if they were already used to the students' class violence towards Ni Ruopan. No matter where it was, strength ruled, and the weak were prey to the strong. It was the same for the devil class. The students taunted and cursed excitedly. Some students even pulled out a metal rod from the weapons rack at the side. The student played with the iron rod in his hand and laughed, "Get out of the way. This trash has no motivation without pressure. Watch me lead her to run 2 laps." The students roared with laughter and took a few steps back. Ni Ruopan turned her head away in fear. Her eyes were filled with tears. "No. I'll run. I'll run. Seeing how strenuous it is for you to run, I'll supervise you from the back. I'll absolutely let you run 2 laps easily." Ha ha ha. The student holding the iron rod laughed out loud. Chapter 287. The momentum of this strike wasn't ferocious. After all, they were classmates, and if he really killed Ni Roa Pan, Long Yun Zhan would absolutely not let him off. But if this strike landed on Ni Roa Pan, she would probably not be able to get up for several days. The crowd of students had an expression as though they were used to it as they crowded around to watch the show. Bam! A loud sound was heard. The person holding the iron rod was sent flying like a kite with a broken string before the rod could even land on him. They saw a slender figure standing beside Ni Roa Pan, with a burst of profound wave beneath her feet. Apparently, she was the one who struck out and sent the student holding the metal rod flying. The few students who were crowding around revealed an unhappy expression. Student Yi, she doesn't need your good intentions, why do you keep helping her? Towards Yi Qing Luo, the students didn't feel close to her. Especially when they found out that she was only a yellow profound 9th grade cultivator, they were filled with disdain. But after all, she was the class monitor's appointed committee member, so they couldn't be as obvious as how they treated Ni Roa Pan. Yi Qing Luo looked down at Ni Roa Pan, who was lying on the ground sobbing, as she couldn't conceal the impatience in between her brows. Get up. She didn't want to make a move. But looking at Ni Roa Pan's terrified expression, and recalling that afternoon, Ni Roa Pan was obviously afraid but still stubbornly stood out to speak up for her. She still made a move to save Ni Roa Pan. And the most important point was, she really couldn't stand this kind of fellow who bullied the weak and feared the strong. Ni Roa Pan curled up on the ground, her face was filled with embarrassment and shame. If you know how to be embarrassed, then get up right now. Yi Qing Luo's brows creased tightly as she berated sternly, here, acting pitiful, no one cares about you. Ni Roa Pan's eyes were filled with tears as she stared at Yi Qing Luo in disbelief, as though she couldn't understand what she meant by acting pitiful. Yi Qing Luo sneered, yellow profound 6th grade is considered low? To be able to pass Heavenly Academy's entrance assessment is considered trash? Putting on a look of a weakling all day long, just dropping a few tears to gain sympathy. I'm telling you, this will only make these people look down on you even more, ridicule and humiliate you even more. His sonorous and forceful voice struck the hearts of the students one by one. That student who was flung away by Yi Qing Luo got up with the help of the other students, as his eyes were filled with astonishment. Didn't Yi Qing Luo want to help Ni Roa Pan? Why is he reprimanding Ni Rupan now? Don't be so full of yourself, Ni Rupan sobbed. She curled up her body and bit her lower lip. Even though you're only at the yellow mystic realm, you're so powerful. You're an expert, and you're also highly regarded by the class monitor. I don't have anything, you don't have the right to say that about me. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and tears welled up in her eyes. I'm not qualified? Yi Qing Luo sneered as her vision swept across the surrounding students. I'm sure everyone knows that I'm 3 Springs Sect's young matriarch Yi Qing Luo. The students were stunned for a moment and suddenly understood the reason why Yi Qing Luo asked this question. Yes. How could Yi Qing Luo not be qualified? In the past 15 years, Yi Qing Luo was synonymous with waste. As a member of 3 Springs Sect, other than possessing a heaven-defying profound jade heart which was worthy of others' envy, she was a waste without any cultivation foundation. Especially after that, there were rumors that her profound jade heart had been dug out. She was more qualified than anyone else to say these words. Ni Roa Pan also reacted, as her tightly biting lower lip loosened up slightly. That's right, Yi Qing Luo was a waste for 15 years. But now, she was standing right in front of her, and was regarded as a strong expert by herself. Chapter 288. I've never thought of myself as trash. That's why I can stand here and call myself your expert. When she mentioned the word strong, Yi Qing Luo's tone was filled with ridicule. Soon after, her tone softened as she spoke in an indifferent tone. These people were once the trash that was ridiculed by others. They also shed tears as they begged those so-called experts to let them go. Do you think that if you cry, beg for mercy, show weakness, and humble yourself, they will let you go? Ni Rupan shuddered. Her widened eyes were filled with an unusual emotion. She propped herself up as she knelt on the ground, as her mind kept reverberating with Yiqing Luo's words. Would it? I won't. These people had no sympathy for anyone. Even if she was on the verge of death, these people would still mock and humiliate her. Ever since she entered the devil class, she had always been alone. Because of this, when he saw Yiqing Luo, who was also a freshman coming to class, and saw Yiqing Luo being insulted by Tong Ziqing, he subconsciously didn't want the freshman to receive such treatment. Such days were too bitter and tiring. She couldn't take it anymore. Yiqing Luo calmly looked at Ni Ruo Pan, who was hugging her knees in silence, as her vision slowly shifted towards the group of students who were watching a good show. Her charming eyes were like a sharp blade. When her gaze swept past, it was as if a sharp blade had pierced into the flesh. Under that pair of eyes, the students, who were originally smiling playfully, all became serious. And you guys? Yiqing Luo narrowed her eyes. Before you guys came to devil class, weren't you all trash as well? The expressions of the surrounding students changed. This was the past which they all wanted to bury, and now that Yiqing Luo had dug it out in the open, their gazes revealed an ominous glint as they stared at Yiqing Luo. In the past, you were also treated like how you treated Ni Rupan, right? Yiqing Luo directly ignored their gazes as her lips curled into a ridiculing arc. The feeling of being ridiculed, being looked down upon, you all understand it best, isn't it? The students clenched their fists, their faces as dark as charcoal. In the crowd, a student angrily retorted, "Let bygones be bygones. Now, we are not worse than anyone else. None of us are useless. No one can mock us." Exactly. That's all in the past. Now, no one can mock us. We don't need to understand that feeling. With one student taking the lead, the others immediately followed suit. With the help of the class monitor, they finally got rid of the title of trash and got rid of that miserable life. No one wanted to be reminded of their past downfall. The surrounding students were in a hubbub, but Yiqing Luo still maintained her cold smile. It was until those students who were filled with righteous indignation started to quiet down when Yiqing Luo started to laugh softly. Her eyes were enchanting, and her gaze was filled with disdain. Did you find comfort by mocking Ni Rupan? In that case, what's the difference between you and those who once mocked you? What right do you have to hate those who once mocked you? The surrounding students were stunned. Their faces that were originally filled with anger gradually turned into astonishment. That was right. What was the difference between them and those who had once humiliated them? When they saw how useless Ni Rupan was, they wanted to humiliate her. Did he really find comfort in this way? No, not at all. Looking at Ni Rupan's submissive look, not only was there no excitement in their hearts, they were even more infuriated. Chapter 289. This feeling, all of you know best. It's because you've all suffered such treatment. Shouldn't you be more united, giving her a little more heartache and concern? Help her. Seeing everyone's stunned and complicated expressions, Yiqing Luo slowed down her tone. But in her words, that awe-inspiring power still existed. Yiqing Luo was very clear about these people's mentality. These people had treated Ni Ruo Pan as their past self. The more they swallowed their anger, the more they hated themselves in the past, so the more ruthless they were towards Ni Ruo Pan. If she can't complete the training, you have many ways to let her complete it. Yiqing Luo continued, with your help, she completed the training. This redemption is not only for Ni Ruo Pan, but also for the past you. Well said. A clear voice was heard from the other end of the training ground. Long Yunzhan was seen with his hands behind his back, strolling over. He was dressed in a blue long robe, which matched that pair of azure blue eyes perfectly. That handsome face was expressionless and indifferent. On the training ground, everyone shut their mouths because of Long Yunzhan's arrival. Even their breathing became careful. Long Yunzhan walked to the side of the training ground and stood beside Xiao Jin. His azure blue eyes gazed at Yiqing Luo without blinking. Class monitor. The students immediately lined up properly, bowing respectfully towards Long Yunjian. Ni Ruopan, who was sitting on the ground in a daze, also hurriedly stood up. She had been lying on the ground for too long, and with this sudden stand-up, Ni Ruopan's footsteps were unstable, as she fell down again. Yiqing Luo supported her in time, as she steadily caught her. "Thank you." Ni Ruopan bit her lips, as her eyelids drooped down. Knowing shame means that there's still hope. Yiqing Luo steadied her, as she said calmly, "These people were once looked down upon, low-leveled cultivators. They can abandon their past, to become strong, why can't you?" Ni Ruopan's lips trembled, as that pair of weak eyes suddenly became firm. "Sorry, I know." She took a deep breath, as she forcefully propped up her body, as she slowly moved Yiqing Luo's arm away. Even though her entire body was in pain, and she couldn't stand properly, but she still clenched her teeth, as she walked to the back of the team. This was the first step she decided to take. Yiqing Luo retracted her gaze and was about to join the line when she discovered that all the students' eyes were fixed on her. What the hell was going on? Why was everyone looking at her like that? Yiqing Luo frowned slightly as she realized that the reason why everyone was looking at her was because Long Yunjian stared at her, his gaze never shifting away. As though noticing that Yiqing Luo had flown into a rage out of embarrassment, Long Yunjian shifted his vision away. Long Yunjian didn't look at Yiqing Luo, and the other students naturally followed his line of sight. When they looked at Long Yunjian, their eyes revealed unconcealable admiration. Student Ye's words are very well said. Long Yunjian's expression was calm, but circles of ripples appeared in his azure blue eyes. This is also the idea that I have been instilling in everyone. Here, no one is trash. Even if you're allocated to the devil class, as long as you cooperate with my training, and put in the hard work, you will absolutely not be any worse than now. Saying that, Long Yunjian's indifferent gaze fell onto Ni Ruopan. "I've understood Student Ni's situation, and because of that, my expectations aren't high. Every morning, afternoon and night, circle the training grounds twice. Just like what Student Yi said, if Student Ni can't complete it, then you should think of ways to help her. If Student Ni is able to complete it, then compared to you using bullying methods to coerce her, force her, it should be much happier." Chapter 290. Could it be because of Yiqing Luo? If it was on usual days, the class monitor wouldn't even come to the training grounds, not to mention coming to the devil class twice in one day. And it was rare to see the class monitor echoing the other students' words. Even for Xiao Jin and the others, the class monitor might not give them any face. Damn! What was the relationship between the class monitor and this freshman? The hearts of the students began to stir. Their minds had already started to fill in the things that had to be said between the freshman and the class monitor. Alright, it's not early anymore, let's get down to business. Xiao Jin clapped his hands, indicating for the students to place their attention on him. The students immediately puffed out their chests and stood perfectly straight. I heard that half a month later, the two classes in the High Profound class will be having a class competition, and the location is set at the Heavenly Training Forest behind the academy. While Xiao Jin was speaking, the gold coin darts in his hands were thrown into the air from time to time, drawing an arc. Yiqing Luo had some impression of the Heavenly Training Forest. She had seen the introduction of the Heavenly Training Forest in the handbook. That was specially built by the academy for the students to undergo actual combat training. It had the same effect as the Magic Beast Forest. According to the level of training, it was divided into Low Profound Zone, Intermediate Profound Zone, High Profound Zone and God Zone. Every month, the academy would arrange for each class to enter the training forest to undergo actual combat training. At the end, the students with the best performance would be awarded as a form of commendation. Of course, this kind of training forest would never belong to the devil class. Hearing Xiao Jin mention about the training forest, Yiqing Luo's interest was piqued. That day, all the students will also enter the Heavenly Training Forest to undergo training. Xiao Jin's gaze suddenly turned cold. "So, are you all prepared?" The students' eyes suddenly lit up, revealing an excited expression. "Ready." Yiqing Luo raised her brows in interest, looking at the excited faces of the students, rubbing their palms together. Obviously, it wasn't the first time the Devil class's students had followed the students from other classes to enter the Heavenly Training Forest for training. According to the handbook's records, the class had to go through the elders to enter the Heavenly Training Forest. The entrance was guarded by the elders. How could the Devil class's students sneak in? Are you in high spirits? Very good. The corners of Qiao Jin's mouth curled upwards. Although his face was unremarkable, it possessed a different kind of charm. Everyone, start training. Line up and start running. Let's strive to obtain an outstanding result after entering the training forest. Just as Qiao Jin finished speaking, the students who were lined up neatly in 4 rows quickly lined up and started jogging one after another. His movements were precise and consistent, as if he had practiced this countless times. Yiqing Luo saw this and couldn't help but sigh silently. This tacit understanding was simply godly. More than 50 people surrounded the training ground and started jogging. Yiqing Luo followed closely behind, running along. Having just entered these students, Yiqing Luo wasn't aware of their rhythm. Although it seemed a little rushed, but it didn't disrupt these students' rhythm. It was merely half an incense's time and Yiqing Luo had already grasped the students' running frequency, keeping up with their progress. Rupan was exhausted from running earlier, and she was injured by the students, so it was extremely tiring for her to run. In less than half a round, Rupan was already behind the students. But this time round, Rupan wasn't like before, lying on the ground weakly after falling down. She clenched her teeth tightly as she climbed up and followed behind the students, running step by step. Chapter 291. Yiqing Luo was right. These students were once the same as her, a group that was labeled as waste. But hadn't these students walked out from the past? Now, in front of those who had labeled them as waste, they could be called strong. If these students could do it, why couldn't she? Her wish was to become a powerful cultivator like Tong Ziqing. If she didn't put in any effort, how could she achieve her wish? The students took big strides, running round after round. At the front of the training ground, Yan Xiaoyi's sweet voice rang out leisurely. The students who came to the Devil class, doesn't mean that you are all waste. To be able to pass the Heavenly Academy's assessment, you are much stronger than ordinary people. To be able to pass the Devil class's welcome ceremony, you are also very powerful. Her voice was clearly very soft, but it was filled with a convincing force. As long as you cooperate with the class monitor's training, I guarantee, the Devil class's students will be more powerful than the High Profound class, or even the class of gods. Let me tell you another inspiring news. Yan Xiaoyi's gaze swept past the students one by one. The top 3 students with outstanding performance in the Heavenly Training Forest will be rewarded with a bottle of profound chi pill developed by Lulu. The students who were running immediately started breathing erratically, and a series of gasps sounded. Yiqing Luo frowned in puzzlement. Profound chi pill? She had never seen this kind of pill in the 100 Medicines pill refining. The student beside her saw her puzzled expression, or maybe he was Bei Ming Lulu's diehard fan, opened his mouth to explain. This profound chi pill is a profound chi pill developed by Bei Ming Goddess. After taking one, your meridians will be unobstructed, reaching the best state of cultivation. Yiqing Luo heard this, and her eyes immediately lit up. If during cultivation, to keep the meridians unobstructed, and the body free of impurities, it was indeed the best cultivation state. Cultivating in this state for 1 day was equivalent to 5 days of normal cultivation. It could achieve twice the result with half the effort. No wonder these students were so surprised. Unfortunately, the profound chi pill can only maintain the effect for 1 hour. That student sighed helplessly, but there are 10 profound chi pills in a bottle. If the state of mind is right, perhaps it can break through the profound grade. Yiqing Luo nodded thoughtfully. On the other side, Yan Xiaoyi saw the looks of astonishment and desire on the faces of the students, and her lips curled into a smile. Do you have the confidence to get into the top 3? Yes. Do you want to achieve outstanding results in the training forest? Yes. One after another, the impassioned words were deafening. Long Yunjan's indifferent azure eyes were faintly tainted with a trace of a faintly discernible smile. He stared at Yiqing Luo, gazing deeply at her without blinking. Qiao Jin stood at the side and saw everything clearly. He couldn't help but sigh in his heart. What kind of ability did this Yiqing Luo have? The class monitor, who had always been pure in heart and few in desires, actually fell under her skirt? Although Yiqing Luo's looks were indeed not bad, and could even be described as stunning. But the class leader doesn't seem like someone who would lust after beauty. Qiao Jin stroked his chin with a thoughtful expression. What are you looking at? Long Yunjan turned his head slightly, as his brows creased slightly. Qiao Jin grinned, as he gave an ambiguous smile. Class monitor, be honest, have you taken a fancy to that new student? Long Yunjan's expression was grave, as his gaze drifted towards Qiao Jin. Chapter 292. Long Yunjan's gaze was serene, as though he could see through Yiqing Luo. After some time, he pursed his thin lips tightly and his voice was extremely soft, but it was heard clearly. There's a strange feeling on her, as though there's something calling out to me. From the first time he met Yiqing Luo, Long Yunjan had this feeling. In Long Yunjan's eyes, beauty and ugliness were merely skin. Yiqing Luo's looks was not the reason why he was attracted. But her body was emitting a scent which others couldn't smell, as well as the feeling of calling out to him. Only Long Yunjan himself couldn't tell what kind of strange feeling that was. When Qiao Jin heard that, he was dumbstruck. You. However, Long Yunjan didn't listen to Qiao Jin's words as he gazed deeply at Yiqing Luo, turned around and headed back the way he came from. In a blink of an eye, his figure disappeared. Hey, what did you say to class monitor? This is the first time I've seen class monitor being so concerned about a new student. Yan Xiaoyi saw Long Yunjan leaving and her gossipy thoughts started to ignite. Qiao Jin's lips twitched as he recalled what Long Yunjan said and clapped his hands fiercely. Finished. Class monitor seems to have really fallen in love. Strange feeling? Calling out to him to pay attention to Yiqing Luo? Wasn't this just like liking? Yan Xiaoyi's face was filled with shock. She was just casually asking, casually guessing and casually making a joke. Just like that. Became real? The moment Long Yunjan left, Yiqing Luo heaved a heavy sigh of relief. Her senses were so sharp, how could she not feel that Long Yunjan had been staring at her? Long Yunjan's gaze was very strange. Yiqing Luo naturally wouldn't be narcissistic to think that Long Yunjan had fallen in love with her at first sight. But that gaze, what meaning did it represent? Yiqing Luo had no way of knowing. She had to admit, as devil class monitor, Long Yunjan's imposing manner indeed resembled a leader. To be able to train these students who were once labeled as trash to this standard, he had the right to be respected. Ao. Chi-Chi's head rubbed against Yiqing Luo's face. It curled into a furry ball, nestling firmly on Yiqing Luo's shoulder, as it stuck out its tongue to lick her face. Chi-Chi rarely appeared when there were many people around. Yiqing Luo looked at Chi-Chi doubtfully. Woo! Chi-Chi let out a low growl, its black tiger eyes staring in the direction that Long Yunjan had left, and it let out another low growl. Yiqing Luo's eyes sunk slightly as she maintained a uniform pace to keep up with the student's rhythm while rubbing Chi-Chi's head as she suppressed her voice. You want to get close to Long Yunjan? Chi-Chi nodded her head and responded in a low voice. Chi-Chi was interested in Long Yunjan. After all, Chi-Chi had been by her side for such a long time. Other than sleeping, she had never seen it interested in anything or anyone. She then thought of the way Long Yunjan had looked at her just now. It seemed like there was a need to meet Long Yunjan in private. 10 laps. In less than the time it takes for a stick of incense to burn, all the students had finished running. Ni Ruopan also persisted in running 2 laps and was currently running the 3rd lap. Her head was filled with perspiration and her legs were heavy as she ran, but she clenched her teeth and persisted in moving forward. At this moment, these students didn't act like usual. After running 10 laps, they discovered that Ni Ruopan hadn't finished running 2 laps and instead lagged behind, so they went up to ridicule her. Perhaps Yiqing Luo's words earlier had infected them. Chapter 293. Come on. You can definitely finish the 3rd round. Right. Adjust your breathing and follow my rhythm, let's run together. Ni Ruopan originally ran until she was completely exhausted. Her entire body was so heavy as though it was going to collapse any time, but she kept hearing the encouragement from her classmates. This was something she had never experienced before. Those words of encouragement were like a warm spring that flowed through her heart. As though something was about to burst out of her body. In the midst of perspiration, Ni Ruopan saw 2 students running behind her. Following that, more and more students followed. In the end, even Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi were following behind her, maintaining the same speed as her. The more tired she was, the more touched she felt. The more touched she was, the more she had to clench her teeth and run forward. In front of her, she couldn't see anything else. The encouragement and cheering from her classmates echoed in her mind over and over again. The heat that lingered in his body surged through his limbs and bones, wave after wave. Yiqing Luo squinted her eyes as she stared at Ni Ruopan, who was being encouraged by the group of students. Her gaze seemed muddy, but it revealed a resolute look. Her footsteps were heavy and slow, but she still stubbornly moved forward. Yiqing Luo's eyes rose slightly as her long and narrow eyes outlined a demonic arc. She crossed her arms as she looked at the resolute Ni Ruopan, and her eyes were gradually filled with warmth. You're really an extraordinary person. Behind her, a voice as still as water was heard. Following that, a crisp bell rang and Mo Ying had already appeared behind Yiqing Luo. She's been here for 2 months and our 100 sentences are not as good as your 1 sentence. Mo Ying's gaze was cold as she glanced at Ni Ruopan. You're indeed filled with hope. Yiqing Luo laughed lightly. It's not that I'm filled with hope, nor is it because I'm an extraordinary person. It's just that you didn't use the right method. These people had all walked out from the waste. Under Long Yunzhan's training, they had today's achievements. But deep in their hearts, they were still unable to forget the humiliation of being waste. Perhaps those with backbone and unyielding character would try their best to cooperate with Long Yunzhan's training in order to slap their faces. But Ni Ruopan was different. She had decided from the bottom of her heart that she was a good-for-nothing. Actually, Ni Ruopan isn't weak. It's just that she feels too inferior. As long as Ni Ruopan's inferiority complex and resistance toward cultivation were removed, she would definitely be able to blend in with the class. Yiqing Luo's eyes narrowed slightly as her lips curled into an extremely shallow arc. The current Ni Ruopan only needs to persevere on, and she will definitely be able to see hope. Mo Ying's expressionless face slowly shifted towards Ni Ruopan. When he looked at Ni Ruopan's expression, a dark light flashed in his calm eyes. Ni Ruopan's breathing became smoother as she ran, and even her heavy legs seemed to have become lighter. As she ran, she enjoyed the cool breeze blowing on her cheeks. A ball of heat rose from his chest to his heart and head. All of a sudden, a powerful stream of air shot out from his body. Boom! A deafening sound was heard as Ni Ruopan stopped abruptly. At the same time, an intimidating voice rang out, "Everyone, retreat quickly." The students were usually used to hearing this command in the training grounds. When this voice rang, their bodies instinctively retreated backwards. They had just retreated a few steps when they saw Ni Ruopan's entire body emitting numerous yellow lights, densely bursting out. Chapter 294. Advanced? Ni Ruopan advanced? All the students who had retreated looked in disbelief at Ni Ruopan, who was wrapped in the profound light. This was the sign of advancement. It can't be. She can advance just by running. Does it need to be so simple? The student's tone was filled with envy and jealousy. I run 10 laps every morning, noon and night. Why didn't I advance? Not fair, not fair. The students were seething. This was the first time they saw such a way of advancement. You knew about it long ago? Mo Ewing looked at the smiling Yi Qing Luo and recalled that she had dismissed a bunch of students who were surrounding Ni Ruopan in time. If she hadn't known that Ni Ruopan would advance, why would Yi Qing Luo open her mouth in time? If it wasn't for Yi Qing Luo's warning, the students who were surrounding Ni Ruopan would probably be sent flying by the self-protection layer formed when Ni Ruopan was advancing. Light injuries would be to the bones, heavy injuries would be to the internal organs. It was very likely that it would affect the actual combat training in the Heavenly Training Forest half a month later. Yi Qing Luo shook her head, her eyes were glistening. I just found out that to advance to the profound grade, not only one's own strength and profound qi have reached the standard, but also an opportunity. Ni Ruopan's profound grade was yellow profound 6th grade, the only thing she lacked was her state of mind. This time, with Yi Qing Luo's guidance, her state of mind had undergone an earth-shattering change, so naturally she would advance. Earlier Yi Qing Luo also saw Ni Ruopan running, that increasingly light footsteps, and Ni Ruopan's slightly raised lips, so she deduced it. Mo Ewing nodded thoughtfully, the gaze she gave Yi Qing Luo had added some deeper meaning. Ni Ruopan was enveloped in the yellow light, her qi surged and suddenly exploded. The scorching heat seemed to be burning her entire body. The heat surging crazily in his chest came wave after wave. Ah, a low cry came from Ni Ruopan's mouth. She clenched her fists and straightened her chest. The yellow light that enveloped her turned into numerous light rays, crackling as it shot out. The light dissipated and Ni Ruopan slowly opened her eyes. She stared at her own hands, her own feet, her current body. The feeling was totally different from when she was running with all her might. Her body was light as a feather, both her legs were light and powerful. His breathing was smooth, and he felt a sense of satisfaction. Classmate Yi. Thank you. Thank you. Ni Ruopan quickly realized that she had advanced. And the source of this advancement was Yi Qing Luo. If it wasn't for Yi Qing Luo's reminder, she would probably carry on living with a cowardly mentality, living on with inferiority for the rest of her life. The changes that had taken place in his body were simply incredible. Ni Ruopan was so agitated that her eyes turned red as she hurriedly walked towards Yi Qing Luo and held her wrist. I did it. I finished 2 laps and even advanced. Hold back your tears. Yi Qing Luo lightly curled her lips. Since you've decided to take this step, then don't shed a single tear. Crying is the behavior of the weak. Ni Ruopan's eyes reddened. She tried her best to hold back her tears and nodded vigorously. Nothing in the world is impossible for those who set their minds to it. Yi Qing Luo withdrew her hand. There are many things. If you do it, you might not necessarily succeed, but if you don't do it, then you will definitely not succeed. The road is walked by yourself, everything depends on you. Ni Ruopan nodded her head as she stared at Yi Qing Luo with adoration, as though she had already treated Yi Qing Luo as her idol. Chapter 295. Also known as the unspoken secret between the author and the character. Today was the birthday of the author of the Waste 7th Missy, Overlord, Be Gentle with Your Love. Mo out of joy, Master Mo decisively spent a huge sum of money to gather the cast of Waste 7th Missy together. The layout of the scene was high-end, low-key and luxurious. The grand hall of the Imperial Palace was majestic and magnificent. Master Mo lazily reclined on the soft couch in the main hall, surrounded by all kinds of fresh meat and little beauties. Feet massage and fruits handed out. That was really satisfying. Yi Qing Luo was dressed in a gorgeous red dress. The hem of her skirt was like a blooming rose, petals fluttering as she walked. Yi Qing Luo walked over with a cake. Happy birthday, Master Mo. Master Mo's eyes widened and sparkled. My big beauty, you are still the best to me. Come, let's drink and chat, eat cake and sing songs. Yi Qing Luo covered her mouth and smiled. Her enchanting eyes stared at Master Mo. Actually, I am here today to discuss something with Master Mo. Master Mo blinked his eyes, his little heart thumping. What? Are you here to have unspoken rules for this author? Yi Qing Luo's finger hooked up a bit of cake and sent it to Master Mo's mouth, smiling charmingly. Speaking of which, Master Mo, when are you going to let me become an overlord? Now I am progressing step by step, leapfrogging monsters, and whatnot. My dear readers are getting anxious. Master Mo took a bite of the cake from the beauty. Ahahaha, don't panic. Don't panic, this author has his own plans. Suddenly, a young boy popped out from the side, red lips and white teeth. That. Master Mo, can I make a request? Master Mo hooked his finger and pulled the young boy into his arms. Little you, say it. This author is happy today. Whatever request you have, just say it. Of course, whether I am satisfied or not, depends on this author's mood. Wahahaha. Yi Feng Yu lowered his head. Is my screen time too little? Can you let me add in some scenes? Master Mo rubbed his chin. That depends on your performance. Before Yi Feng Yu could speak, he was pulled away by a hand. Yi Qing Luo came over. Little you are still young, there will be scenes in the future. Let's sister and Master Mo have a good talk. Old man Guiyu, damn. And me. Where are my scenes? Motherf ****. You promised me to go to the devil class to be a teacher. Master Mo, have you forgotten about me? Yi Tian Kuang and the rest of the Yi family members weakly raised their hands. For the sake of Grandpa Mo's birthday, can you add a show for our Three Springs sect? After all, the Three Springs sect is about to decline. We have to show our faces. Yi Fengru was expressionless. I've already made the readers forget who I am. Who am I? Damn, I don't even know who I am anymore. The mouths of those from the Yuchi family twitched. We're the ones who have been forgotten. The readers. Looks like too many people have been forgotten by Elder Mo. Elder Mo leaned back and shook his legs sloppily. If I want to show my face and be on camera, I have to pay something. For example, a bribe or something. All the characters fluttered towards Elder Mo. Me. Bribe. I pay. At this moment, a strong gust of wind blew. A powerful pressure immediately spread out in the hall. In the air, there seemed to be banging sounds. A purple figure descended from the sky. Everyone exclaimed, Your Majesty. Your Majesty. Dmo Xian's noble and elegant gaze swept across the group of people. Get lost. Everyone was stunned. They wanted to be promoted, but they wanted to live even more. They shrank to the side. Elder Mo, who was shaking his legs, froze on the soft couch. At this moment, his legs were no longer shaking and he was no longer smiling. He was going to be dumbfounded. Motherf ****. The Dmo Xian's aura was too strong. This author packed his bags and was ready to run away. Before he could take a few steps, the Dmo Xian's golden ratio body blocked in front of him. Elder Mo's whole body trembled and the smile on his face froze. He saw the Dmo Xian's finger move, slowly, Mamma mia. Is this because this author flirted with his wife and he wants to kill this author? Just as Elder Mo was about to beg for mercy, he saw the Dmo Xian holding out a cake. The Dmo Xian, Elder Mo. Happy birthday. On this grand day, please give me more opportunities to get close to the female lead. Everyone, Elder Mo. Immediately, Elder Mo raised his head firmly and put on an unyielding expression. Do you think you can make me surrender with force? The Dmo Xian, 100 book coins for a hug. 500 book coins for a kiss. Elder Mo, deal. Deal. Readers, damn it, where's my integrity? Thank you, babies, for sending birthday blessings on Elder Mo's birthday. Every blessing warmed Elder Mo's heart. Elder Mo has never regretted entering the writing industry because I know that I am not the only one fighting. Thank you sincerely. Because the author has something to say recently, for some unknown reason, it has been swallowed by the system. Many words are not displayed on the phone. Let me borrow this opportunity to say a few words. Thank you, Ning Mo Yashian, lifetime bound, helpless He Jiao, Hetian Xia for specially sending gifts on Elder Mo's birthday. Thank you, Meow, Lulu for sending gifts and blessings. P.S. The post-grabbing activity has already begun. Just reply to the book comments at the top and wish Elder Mo well, or express your opinion about 1-1. There is a chance of winning a prize and a QQ red packet. Chapter 296. What feeling was that? The students' smiling expressions slowly froze on their faces. The noisy training grounds fell into a strange silence. They were all in deep thoughts. Xiao Jin didn't urge them as he silently played with the gold coin darts in his hands, as he waited for their reply in a composed manner. Only occasionally, his gaze would drift towards Yiqing Luo's direction. After some time, one of the students raised his arm. "I'm very happy." Xiao Jin smiled, indicating for him to continue. Seeing student Ni not only completed 2 rounds, but also ran an extra round and even advanced, "I'm very excited and very happy." This kind of feeling was unable to be expressed in words. It was as if they had seen themselves in the past, trying their best to shake off the name of waste. Seeing Ni Ruo Pan's advancement was like seeing themselves advancing. That kind of excitement, gratification and indescribable feeling, burned their nerves. This was indeed much better than them constantly bullying Ni Ruo Pan, finding balance and comfort from her. Especially when they heard Xiao Jin say that Ni Ruo Pan's advancement had an inseparable relationship with them, their hearts became even more agitated. Now their inner hearts were filled with fulfillment. When one of them opened his mouth, the other students started nodding their heads in agreement. At this moment, the students' gazes towards Yiqing Luo no longer had the unwillingness from before. They were sincerely grateful to Yiqing Luo for enlightening them. This new student indeed had enough ability to become a member of the class committee. With just a few words, you've subdued a bunch of stubborn students' hearts. How do you feel? Xiao Jin laughed lightly as he leaned his head over, as his brows rose in ridicule. Yiqing Luo shook her head as she remained calm. "I've said this before, right from the start, you guys didn't use the right method." "Why do you say that?" Xiao Jin asked curiously. One must know that Long Yunzhan was based on every student's characteristics, transforming them step by step, which resulted in today's devil class. Yiqing Luo actually said that they didn't use the right method right from the start? Yiqing Luo's eyes squinted as her curly long lashes cast an extremely shallow arc shadow at the corner of her eyes. "In your mindset, only the strong can survive, and you also think that it's a matter of course for these students to bully Ni Ruo Pan, but you haven't thoroughly understood these students' inner hearts. In devil class, perhaps these students were once waste, so they were abandoned and thrown into devil class. However, Long Yunzhan and the others weren't trash. As the saying goes, dragons give birth to dragons, and phoenixes give birth to phoenixes. Their temperament determined that they were not ordinary people. You don't understand the reason why the students bullied Ni Rupan. You also think that as a weakling, Ni Rupan should accept such treatment. With such a mindset, you naturally won't be able to open Ni Rupan's heart." When Xiao Jin heard this, a look of astonishment appeared on his face. "How did you know?" This freshman was too terrifying. It was only his first day in class, and he had already analyzed the temperaments of these students so thoroughly. Intuition. Yiqing Luo smiled mysteriously, her eyes curved, revealing a bit of craftiness. Apparently, Yiqing Luo had no intention to continue answering their questions. Xiao Jin rubbed his nose. Anyway, there was still a long way to go, and by then he would be able to dig out the answer that he wanted to know from Yiqing Luo's mouth. Come. In order to celebrate student Ni successfully advancing to the Yellow Xian 7th grade and taking the first step towards becoming a strong expert, let's add another 5 rounds. At that moment, the students who had smiles on their faces and had excited expressions on their faces complained to the heavens. What kind of celebration was this? It was simply torture. Although they were grumbling incessantly, but all of them still obeyed the orders and lined up properly, running around the training grounds once again. Chapter 297. The devil class's training was not as simple as the 2 instructors' freshman training. Especially in preparation for the actual combat training in the Heavenly Training Forest half a month later, Xiao Jin had been torturing everyone. For the next few days, Yiqing Luo had to report to the freshman training grounds early in the morning, to accept the 2 instructors' daily torture. By the time she returned to the dormitory from the freshman training grounds, it was already 5 in the afternoon. She would at most take a bath, nap for 1 hour, sleep for at most 2 hours before she was woken up by Chi Chi and rushed to join the devil classes training. Although her body was exhausted, but after these few days of training, this body's quality was getting better and better. In time, it would definitely consolidate this body's quality to the strongest foundation. But in these few days, something had happened which made Yi Qing Luo extremely painful, but she slowly accepted it in the midst of the pain. That was, when Yi Qing Luo's body was exhausted and fell onto the bed, she felt for the medicine bottle under the pillow. That mysterious Mr. Chu sent over some medicinal pills which could relieve her body's fatigue. But this touch, she touched empty air. Could it be that someone had entered her room? That's not right. If someone else had entered her room, there would definitely be some clues left behind. Yi Qing Luo had formed a habit in her past life. She remembered clearly the location of everything in her territory. If someone touched it slightly or moved it by a little, she would be able to detect it sharply. When she was lying on the bed, she didn't notice any traces of the bedding and pillow being moved. If no one entered, then who took away her medicine bottle? Just as Yi Qing Luo was frowning in deep thoughts, a slight sound came from the half-opened window. The room was instantly filled with an elegant sandalwood fragrance. The man's mellow and intoxicating voice rang out leisurely, "Is Lil Luo, looking for these two things?" Yi Qing Luo suddenly sat up straight and saw a tall and straight figure standing by the window. He was dressed in a demonic purple robe, the sleeves were wrapped with golden threads, flowing with flowing light as it swayed. It was indescribable. He had a head of cloud-like black hair that was held in place by a purple gold crown that hung down to his shoulders. He looked languid yet noble. On the peerless face, his thin lips curved into a playful arc. That pair of shining black eyes were as dazzling as obsidian. There were 2 jade bottles in his raised hand. Wasn't this the medicinal bottle that Yi Qing Luo was looking for? "Why are my pills with you?" Yi Qing Luo glared at Dmo Xian. This man had snuck into her room again without her knowing. That's right, other than Dmo Xian, there wasn't a second person who could sneak into her room and not be discovered by her. "Are you sure that this is your elixir?" Dmo Xian raised his eyebrows and the teasing smile on his lips deepened. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips quivered as she suddenly understood the reason why he took away the bottle. "You dare to accept other men's things? You still dare to use it?" Seeing that Yi Qing Luo didn't speak, Dmo Xian didn't intend to beat around the bush. He weighed the bottle in his hand and sneered, "Lil Luo, your guts aren't small. I don't know the person who sent the medicine." Hearing Dmo Xian's interrogation, Yi Qing Luo, who had a clear conscience, started to feel guilty. It was a fact that she had used other men's pills. She didn't think too much about it at that time. Because in Yi Qing Luo's eyes, other than Dmo Xian, no matter if it was male or female, they were all treated equally. Chapter 298. The more Dmo Xian asked, the more guilty Yi Qing Luo felt. She knew that Dmo Xian wasn't blaming her for accepting other men's things. But he was blaming her for trusting others easily. Dmo Xian was concerned about her. Yi Qing Luo's long eyelashes fluttered like butterfly wings as her pink lips pursed slightly. "I'm an alchemist. If I don't have full confidence, I won't take it." Even old man Sung felt that this bottle of pills was of the highest grade, so naturally there wasn't any problem. However, Yi Qing Luo's reply made Dmo Xian's expression turn colder as the arc on his lips turned deeper. "In that case, you feel that accepting this bottle of pills is the right thing to do?" Yi Qing Luo. At this moment, how would she dare to nod her head? She pursed her lips as she stared at Dmo Xian's peerless face and shook her head. "Since it's not right, then I'm confiscating this pill." Dmo Xian's fingers closed and that ring which was similar to Yi Qing Luo's flashed as he placed the 2 bottles of pills into it. Yi Qing Luo stretched out her hand and forcefully retracted it. Damn it. Without this bottle of pills to restore her body's energy, then she could only rely on her willpower to carry on with the devil class's training. Rest for a while. Dmo Xian saw her obediently retracting her hand as his lips curled into a satisfied smile. His figure moved slightly and a purple figure pressed down on Yiqing Luo's eyes. The sandalwood scent assaulted her nostrils, as though it wanted to wrap Yiqing Luo up from head to toe. Following that, Yiqing Luo's head was resting on Dmo Xian's chest. The young lady's petite and soft body was hugged tightly in the man's arms. The man's large palm covered the young lady's head. Sleep. A deep, hoarse, and mellow voice that was like fine wine gently rang in her ears. Like a melodious lullaby, Yiqing Luo's body and mind relaxed in his arms as her eyelids became extremely heavy. Her eyes closed and fell asleep in a short while. Yiqing Luo was woken up by Qi and Shiju's licking. When she opened her eyes, Dmo Xian was no longer beside her. She reached out to touch the side of her body, but there was no trace of his warmth. But in the room, there was still a lingering sandalwood scent which made her feel at ease, proving Dmo Xian's existence. After she got off the bed, what attracted Yiqing Luo's attention wasn't Qi's constant reminders that it was only a short while to the evening, but, in the corner, hung 2 bamboo poles with her wet uniform and her underwear. Yiqing Luo's mouth twitched. This man helped her wash her clothes again. Was he really going to be the 24 filial husbands? This time, she endured it. That was enough. It was going to happen a second time. So shameful. Yiqing Luo's cheeks flushed red as she stared at the academy uniform which was still dripping water. Thinking of Dmo Xian's slender fingers, washing her clothes, washing her intimate clothes. Her cheeks turned even redder. These clothes can still be worn? No, it seemed like she was already wearing it. Yiqing Luo lowered her head and stared at the clothes on her body, as she recalled the image of Dmo Xian washing the clothes in her mind. Her delicate body trembled slightly, and her body temperature seemed to be on the rise. Ow ow ow, Qi leaped onto Yiqing Luo's shoulder, reminding her to pay attention to the time. When she heard the academy's bell ringing, Yiqing Luo's scorching heat was so scared that she broke out in cold sweat. Chapter 299. In the end, Yiqing Luo was late. As a member of the class committee, she should set an example. Hence, Yiqing Luo was punished with double training. After that, every time Yiqing Luo changed out of the uniform and woke up, the changed clothes would be washed clean and hung on the bamboo. Yiqing Luo flew into a rage out of humiliation and simply prepared to wash her clothes immediately after her bath. But she was stopped by Wind, who was hiding in the dark. Unable to bear it any longer, Yiqing Luo said forcefully when Dmo Xian came to the dormitory, "I can wash my clothes myself. You are the overlord, helping a woman wash her clothes. If this gets out, you are too tired from training. Rest more and recover your strength." Not waiting for her to finish, Dmo Xian had already walked over slowly and stretched out his hand to pull her into his arms. "I help my own woman wash clothes, even if this gets out, so what?" Yiqing Luo was instantly rendered speechless as she was stuffed with nothing to say. Especially the first time she heard Dmo Xian call her his own woman, Yiqing Luo's heart was thundering and beating faster. "Just take a good rest, leave the rest to me." Dmo Xian hugged her waist tightly, his warm breath was inhaling and exhaling bit by bit. The man's low and hoarse voice was filled with helplessness. "You are so stubborn and want to grow up alone, relying on your own strength to walk side by side with me. I am unable to intervene in your training. The only thing I can do for you is this." Yiqing Luo's face blushed slightly and a trace of warmth appeared. She slowly raised her head, her charming eyes were filled with warmth. The slightly raised pink lips revealed a few traces of a shy smile that never appeared on her face. After this, Yiqing Luo had completely accepted this matter and no longer showed any resistance. Time passed quickly and it was already half a month later. Tomorrow they would enter the heavenly training forest with the high profound class. In order to let everyone maintain the best condition, the students' training was cancelled and let them have a good rest. When the students heard this, they all cheered and shouted excitedly. Yi Qing Luo's tiredness was also tinged with a sense of relaxation. During this period of training, she constantly trained during the day to consolidate her body's quality, and at night she entered the Azure Dew bracelet to listen to Old Man Sung's guidance to cultivate profound qi. There was no spare time at all. And in this period of time, Long Yunzhan did not return to the devil class. Yi Qing Luo's request to meet Long Yunzhan on behalf of Qi was also pushed back. Tomorrow was the actual combat training, and based on Yi Qing Luo's current status and position in devil class, it was rather awkward. Quite a number of students were waiting for Yi Qing Luo's performance in the actual combat training. Especially Tong Ziqing and Dan Baishi. They had suffered a loss in Yi Qing Luo's hands, and after finding out that Yi Qing Luo had become a member of the class committee on the first day she entered the class, the entire class of students seemed to have acknowledged Yi Qing Luo. In this actual combat training, if Yi Qing Luo's performance wasn't outstanding, the both of them would absolutely fall out on the spot. It was better to have a good rest today and conserve energy for tomorrow's training. After quietly waiting for Qiao Jin to finish speaking, the students dispersed. Just as he was about to leave the devil class excitedly, he suddenly heard a rough and arrogant voice coming from outside the courtyard. What the F***ck? The devil class is indeed the devil class. This courtyard is so dilapidated that it's simply unlivable. The excited students' expressions suddenly congealed. Qiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's expressions sunk slightly as they exchanged glances and looked towards the tightly shut second door. Chapter 300. For the past few years, other than those students who were forcefully allocated to devil class, no one else was willing to go near this place. But just in case, Long Yunzhan would arrange for a few students to keep watch outside devil class's courtyard, not letting anyone other than the devil class discover the devil class's secret. Coincidentally today, for the matter of entering the heavenly training forest tomorrow, Qiao Jin had set up a small array outside the courtyard and called in the students who were keeping watch outside for a meeting. Someone had broken his array. All the students held their breaths. Damn it. How can this kind of environment allow my Luo lass to study in peace? That voice was still scolding outside. Many students vaguely heard the three words, Luo lass, and their gazes all shifted to Yi Qing Luo. In the entire class, the only one who could be addressed as Luo lass was Yi Qing Luo alone. After Yi Qing Luo heard this voice, she already knew who the person outside was. Such an irritable temper, who kept calling Luo lass, other than Master Guiyu, who else could it be? It had been almost half a month. Guiyu had mentioned that he wanted to be a master in devil class but was rejected by the elders. From Lu Xiaoyu's mouth, Guiyu had gone to look for the director. After that, there was no news of Guiyu. She had not expected him to really come to devil class. Perhaps, our devil class will have a master to teach in future. Yi Qing Luo's thin lips curled slightly as she slowly walked towards the second door. The students gasped in shock. Master to teach? They had stayed in devil class for at least 5 to 6 years but had never seen a master to teach. Especially 3 years ago, when Long Yunzhan came. They didn't need those so-called masters. With Long Yunzhan and the class committee, it was enough. Student Yi, that person outside the courtyard. Is that the master you know? Qiao Jin's expression was slightly displeased. To them, the devil class was their group. With them supervising the students' training and guiding their cultivation, there was no need for those masters. They were a collective of students and didn't want any outsiders to interfere. I think you should have heard of Old Man Guiyu's name. Yi Qing Luo understood their thoughts, but since Guiyu had already decided on something, even she would not be able to convince him. She could only say the name of the traveling ghost first. Old Man Guiyu's epaulette was just a yellow horizontal line. According to his status, he was the lowest-ranking teacher in the academy. However, he was always acting crazily in the academy. His temper was extremely bad, but he was respected by the other teachers. No one dared to blame him for his mysteriousness. Over time, he also became a man of the moment in the mouths of the students. All the students in the academy had guessed Old Man Guiyu's identity. Because of this, the devil class students had heard of Guiyu when he was mentioned. You mean Old Man Guiyu is prepared to come to our class and be our teacher? One of the students swallowed hard and asked in disbelief. Guiyu was mysterious and powerful in the eyes of the students. Although no one had seen Guiyu fight. But even the masters of the high profound class were submissive in front of Guiyu, which showed Guiyu's strength. Such a strong, mysterious and insane person, coming to the devil class to be a teacher? Would the academy agree? Xiao Jin frowned. Class monitor still doesn't know about this matter. Regarding Fu Zi, let's wait for class monitor to decide. Now think of a way to send Guiyu away from the devil class. Chapter 301. But before they could react, Old Man Guiyu had already reached the second door. His steps had always been heavy and swaying, as if he was drunk. The students heard it clearly and their faces changed. Each of them held their breaths, afraid that Old Man Guiyu outside the courtyard would sense their presence. Yiqing Luo's slender brows creased slightly as she sized up the expressions of the surrounding students. These students obviously didn't want any masters to discover the devil class's secret. Even if this master was extremely mysterious and powerful. Little brats, why aren't you coming out to welcome me when you hear my voice? What kind of cowardice are you guys? Outside the courtyard, Old Man Guiyu roared in a rough voice. Yiqing Luo suddenly recalled that in order to prevent outsiders from discovering this training ground, Beiming Lulu had smeared a bunch of unknown drugs on the door. If Old Man Guiyu touched those drugs, her expression changed and immediately shouted, "Master Guiyu, don't push the door." Just as her voice fell, a strong gust of wind was set off. Yiqing Luo's opened mouth was sprayed with a mouthful of sand. Immediately, a boom sound was heard and the second door fell straight down. Sand and pebbles flew as the dust curled up. Yiqing Luo was stunned. The students were also stunned. What kind of broken door is this? How dare you block my way? A valiant and spirited voice spat out fiercely. In the midst of the dust, a slender figure was faintly discernible. Old Man Guiyu was wearing a loose teacher's white robe. Both of his hands were in the middle of retracting his palms. His face, which was full of wrinkles and appeared fierce, was filled with an impatient expression. Perhaps Old Man Guiyu was going to meet the students today, so he had specially tied his usual messy hair into a teacher's hairstyle. After the dust dispersed, Old Man Guiyu saw Yiqing Luo standing at the door, messy in the wind. He was beaming with joy as he quickly walked into the training ground and opened his arms to embrace Yiqing Luo. "Luo lass, I'm here. Ha ha ha, I'm finally here to be your teacher." Old Man Guiyu's character was so simple and crude. The students, each of them felt like there were thousands of horses galloping and roaring in their hearts. Damn! This old man was the legendary Old Man Guiyu? Are you sure he's not a crazy old man? The most important thing was, their door. Their door that was immune to all poisons. It was destroyed just like that. Cough, cough, cough. Yiqing Luo suddenly choked and spat out the sand in her mouth. "Master Guiyu." Old Man Guiyu wrapped his arm around Yiqing Luo's shoulder and said with a grin, "You don't know how much I have suffered in order to be your teacher. That old fellow, the dean, wants me to back off in the face of difficulties. Hee hee. My heart to teach Luo Yu is not something he can stop." The first sentence, Old Man Guiyu's tone seemed to be seeking credit from Yiqing Luo. The last sentence was filled with pride. She didn't know if it was Yiqing Luo's misperception, but when he mentioned the director, that pair of turbid eyes of Old Man Guiyu vaguely revealed a hint of ridicule. In the blink of an eye, it was replaced by complacency. It was so fast that Yiqing Luo wondered if she had seen wrongly. This is... Xiao Jin's expression was extremely ugly. Before he could stop Old Man Guiyu, he had already barged in. If Old Man Guiyu revealed the devil class's secret to the academy, these students who had turned over a new leaf would definitely be dispersed to other classes. Thinking of this, Xiao Jin's expression turned even uglier. Chapter 302. A bunch of little brats, aren't you going to welcome me when you hear my voice? Are you looking for a beating? Old man Guiyu pointed at the surrounding students and put on a teacher's posture. I'm telling you, I will be the only teacher in the devil class in future. Little brats, if you want to have a good life, don't forget to please me. Students. He was indeed a crazy old man. Totally unable to tell what was so powerful and mysterious about him. No wonder the academy would let him be a teacher in the devil class. Teacher Guiyu. Yi Qing Luo called out softly. She could tell that Xiao Jin and Yan Xiaoyi's faces had sunk after old man Guiyu said those words. Old man Guiyu turned his head around with a face full of smiles. Do you feel that I have the demeanor of a teacher today? This smile made Yi Qing Luo's heart feel as though it had been struck hard somewhere. After some time, her pink lips moved and revealed a warm smile. Yes, Teacher Guiyu. Old man Guiyu's eyes were clear and his smile was very clean. He was happy from the bottom of his heart to be able to become a teacher in the devil class. Even if the reason why he wanted to be a teacher was mostly because of her. But old man Guiyu, who had no grudges and was not ashamed of the devil class, his heart to become a teacher was sincere. He who had always been slovenly had changed into a clean teacher's robe today. That head of dry hair was tied neatly at the back of his head. For so many years, had old man Guiyu changed himself for anyone? Even if it was such a big event like the Heavenly Academy's recruitment, he had always put on a sloppy look and had never thought of tidying up his image. But for the devil class, he changed himself. Yi Qing Luo's eyes gradually filled with warmth. Her pink lips curled up slightly as she took the initiative to hold old man Guiyu's hand, but her vision shifted to Xiao Jin. I want to meet the class monitor. After being together for half a month, Xiao Jin naturally understood Yi Qing Luo's intention. He frowned tightly and stared at Yi Qing Luo for some time. All right. After dispersing the students, Yi Qing Luo tried her best to persuade old man Guiyu back to his personal dormitory. Old man Guiyu might have sensed that devil class wasn't the class he had imagined, and looking at the atmosphere between Yi Qing Luo and those students, he wasn't willing to make things difficult for Yi Qing Luo, so he didn't insist on staying on. Returning to the dormitory, he had just closed his eyes to rest for a while when he heard Lu Xiaoyu and Lu Shuya arguing outside the hall. She frowned and pressed down on her aching brows as she stood up. When he opened the door, he saw Lu Xiaoyu standing beside the wooden table, while Lu Shuyu was sitting elegantly to the side, drinking tea. Her cold eyes were filled with disdain. Seeing Yi Qing Luo coming out, Lu Xiaoyu was slightly stunned and her expression immediately softened. Qing Luo, sorry to wake you up. During this period of time, Yi Qing Luo seemed to be especially busy. Every time she returned to the freshman training grounds, she would disappear without a trace. If she knew that Yi Qing Luo was sleeping in the dormitory, she would definitely not argue with Lu Shuyu. Seeing Yi Qing Luo, a sliver of astonishment flashed past Lu Shuyu's eyes. Yi Qing Luo waved her hand. What's wrong? Isn't it because of some conceited person, showing off? Before Lu Xiaoyu could finish her sarcastic words, it was suppressed by Lu Shuyu's cold voice, merely talking about the matter of the high profound class entering the heavenly training forest tomorrow. Your little follower is currently envious and jealous. Chapter 303. We are freshmen, you are an old woman who has been in the academy for a few years. What's there to be proud of if you know what kind of place the heavenly training forest is? Lu Xiaoyu gritted her teeth and snorted coldly. Looking at Lu Shuyu's smug look, the more she looked, the more annoyed she was. She didn't know what she was so proud of. Lu Shuyu, who was putting on a superior attitude and was ready to explain where the heavenly training forest was, when she heard the 3 words, old woman, her face immediately turned black. Age was a woman's biggest Achilles heel. Especially someone like Lu Shuyu, who was already 20 years old. The most intolerable thing was these 3 words. At 20 years old, in this era, she was probably the mother of a few children. Lu Shuiyu entered the Heavenly Academy at the age of 15 and had been accompanying Si Yenmu for 5 years. Until now, Si Yenmu had no intention to marry her. The people from the Lu family were urging her openly and secretly. These 3 words simply poked at Lu Shuiyu's sore spot. Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Shuiyu's eyes were scarlet red, her fingers suddenly clenched into a fist, the teacup in her hands suddenly exploded and shattered into pieces. She slammed the table and stood up, the palm wind directly pressed towards Lu Xiaoyu. Lu Xiaoyu had never thought that Lu Shuiyu would dare to directly make a move and immediately did not react. It was Yiqing Luo who tugged her from behind, flipped her hand and set off a palm wind to meet the attack. The 2 palms met, the strong airflow was undisguised, setting off a huge wave in the dormitory. Everything in the hall was thrown to the ground with a crackling sound. Lu Shuiyu and Yiqing Luo took a step back at the same time. Qing Luo, you are crazy. Lu Xiaoyu immediately came up and supported Yiqing Luo. The academy does not allow students to fight in private. Just now both of them had released their profound qi. It would definitely be detected by the profound qi sensing device set up by the academy. And Lu Shuiyu, who was forced to take 2 steps back and finally stood firm, when she heard Lu Xiaoyu's words, she quivered. Lu Shuiyu, who had always been calm and self-controlled, other than Si Yenmu, nothing could disturb her emotions. He was actually provoked by Lu Xiaoyu's words and made a move. Yiqing Luo's eyes were smiling as an enchanting light flowed in her charming eyes. Vice President, what a coincidence, I happen to know what kind of place the Heavenly Training Forest is. Her index finger brushed a strand of hair on her shoulder as she smiled charmingly. As the Vice President, you knowingly broke the law. I wonder if you can still participate in the training of your high profound class tomorrow? You. Lu Shuiyu's face darkened even more. She was so angry that her whole body trembled. Just now, you also used your Xian Qi. Do you think you can escape? Me? So what? Yiqing Luo chuckled, the person who is going to the training forest is not me. Even if I am punished by the academy, it is not a big loss. But it is a rare actual combat training. I am afraid you will not be able to show your strength in front of Si Yenmu. Lu Shuiyu's cold eyes were filled with disbelief. Yiqing Luo had more or less guessed his thoughts. Lu Shuiyue was about to vomit blood. She wasn't an impulsive person, but the minute she saw Lu Xiaoyu, she thought of Yiqing Luo. She just couldn't hold it in. She subconsciously used tomorrow's training forest to ridicule Lu Xiaoyu and Yiqing Luo. But she didn't expect to be slapped in the face by Yiqing Luo. Not only did she know about the training forest, she even forced her to act impulsively. Chapter 304. Footsteps were heard outside the dormitory door. Lu Shuiyu held her breath. The elders had found their way here so quickly. Soon after, accompanied by the crisp sound of a bell, the dormitory door was pushed open. Mo Yuing stuck her head in and stared at Yiqing Luo. Student Yi, please come over. Lu Shuiyu heaved a sigh of relief. Yiqing Luo patted Lu Xiaoyu's hand lightly and asked her to return to her room to rest, in case Lu Shuiyu vented her anger on her. Staring at Yiqing Luo's departing figure, Lu Shuiyu clenched her fists tightly as she gritted her teeth. Just 2 waist from the waist class, birds of a feather flock together. Lu Xiaoyu sneered, if you have the time, why don't you think about how to explain to your dear president that you knowingly broke the law today? Saying that, she ignored Lu Shuiyu's hateful gaze and walked straight into her room. Following Mo Yuing, they arrived at the devil class. On the training ground, they saw a few students who were training. Walking straight, they stopped in front of the wooden door next to the classroom. Above the wooden door, there was a plaque with strong and vigorous handwriting, written with the words, Class Committee. Looking at the handwriting and the degree of delicacy of the plaque, it should be from Long Yun Zhan's hands. Mo Yuing knocked on the door and a clear voice was heard from inside, come in. Mo Yuing pushed the door and the 2 entered the room. This room, rather than saying it was the class committee, it was more like a library. It wasn't a big room, but there were more than 10 bookshelves, displaying various books. At the end of the bookshelf, there was an 8-person square table. Long Yunjian and the rest of the class committee sat by the side. Seeing Yiqing Luo coming over, Xiao Jin pulled a wooden chair over and gestured for her to sit down. Want to plead for that, teacher? Long Yunjian looked up indifferently, his azure blue eyes were flowing with a glossy luster. His gaze was as clear as water, without any fluctuation. Being stared at, Yiqing Luo felt a chill down her spine. She pursed her lips and shook her head slowly. It's not pleading, Teacher Guiyu doesn't need any pleading, I just hope you can consider accepting him. Reason. Long Yunjian spat out 2 words. Yiqing Luo smiled, because the devil class needs teachers. Xiao Jin frowned, devil class has the class monitor and us. All these years, we still didn't have a teacher and we still managed to come this far. Yan Xiaoyi nodded her head. She put away her usual loveliness and replied solemnly, teacher is a member of the academy after all. Placing someone from the academy in our class will only hinder our training in the future. He is Guiyu. Yiqing Luo's voice was very soft, but it carried an unquestionable charisma, easily suppressing the duo's rebuttal. Her pink lips curled up slightly, her pair of charming eyes calm and clear. I'm sure the class monitor has heard of his name. To be able to be second only to the dean in the academy, it is enough to prove his own strength. I admit, the main reason why Teacher Guiyu came to the devil class to teach is because of me, but the bigger reason is because he wants to become a teacher. Saying that, the smile on Yiqing Luo's lips revealed some gentleness. You've put in so much effort for the devil class's students, don't tell me you're really willing to hide behind others. She didn't believe that these students wanted to be waste for the rest of their lives. Who didn't want to stand in front of everyone openly and tell everyone that they were not waste? However, they couldn't say it out loud. This was the devil class's secret, everyone's secret. Chapter 305. Yiqing Luo's words made the few of them silent. They had to admit that what she said was right. Long Yunjian had no intention to keep this secret. He wanted to lead the devil class to become the first class in the academy at the most appropriate time. Guiyu's appearance was indeed an opportunity to bring the devil class out of everyone's sight. But, who in the academy did not know of Guiyu's reputation? The news of him coming to teach in the devil class would definitely spread throughout the academy. Then wouldn't the devil class be exposed before it matured? This could easily lead to the academy forcefully allocating these students to other classes. Although you are able to guide the students and are respected by them, but the class monitor and the masters are not the same. Yiqing Luo smiled again. Previously, they would chase away the masters sent by the academy because they are unable to acknowledge that those masters have the ability to guide them. The masters were proud and arrogant, and there was competition between them. He wanted to raise his status by teaching outstanding students. No one was willing to teach the devil class. The masters looked down on the devil class. These students naturally looked down on those masters too. But Guiyu is different. Yiqing Luo's slender fingertips gently stroked the profound phoenix ring on her finger. Don't worry about his status, there is no reason for him to compete with the other masters for results. Immediately, her fingers paused beside the ring. Her fair fingers, when contrasted with the ring that was emitting a red flowing light, appeared exceptionally bewitching. Guiyu's ability is enough to shock the students. Yiqing Luo's eyes curved deeper, her smile became wider. Moreover, it is undeniable that deep in the hearts of the students, they still yearn for a master to teach, isn't it? Showing one's ability in front of the class monitor and showing one's ability in front of the masters, this state of mind was completely different. Just like showing one's skills to one's companions or friends, and showing one's skills in front of the elders were completely different. To obtain the elders' recognition and praise, it was as if one had already surpassed the elders. These students, who would want others to mention the devil class, with an attitude of, so it's the class that no masters are willing to teach, or something like that. Long Yunjian narrowed his azure blue eyes slightly. The hand that was propping up his chin moved slightly. The others looked at each other in dismay. From the other party's eyes, she could tell that he had already been convinced by Yiqing Luo. After a while, Bei Ming Lu frowned slightly. Student Yi, what you said, we admit, your thoughts are indeed very good, but after all these are just your thoughts. If Teacher Gui you were to inform the dean about the devil class, I'm afraid that devil class, I won't. Yiqing Luo replied firmly, I know Teacher Gui Yu's character very well. If he had set his mind on you, in this academy, no matter what happens, he would unconditionally stand on the devil class's side. Old man Gui Yu was extremely protective, and it was obvious that he had some relationship with the academy. Seeing Yiqing Luo so certain, Bai Ming Lu didn't ask any further. They all looked at Long Yunzhan. Long Yunzhan's vision was fixated on the profound phoenix ring on Yiqing Luo's fingertip. Only when Yan Xiaoyi called out to the class monitor did he suddenly come back to his senses. The few of them felt strange and looked at the ring on Yiqing Luo's finger. Yiqing Luo was the young matriarch of the Three Springs sect and she was so powerful, it was normal for her to have a spatial ring in her hands. Chapter 306. Yiqing Luo's eyelids drooped as she gazed at the profound phoenix ring on her fingertips. Long Yunzhan shouldn't be staring at the profound phoenix ring. But Yiqing Luo sensed Chi-Chi's restlessness from the pet space as she clasped her hands together and comforted Chi-Chi in her heart, asking it to wait for a while. Gui Yu is indeed a different existence in the academy, I believe in Student Yi. Long Yunzhan, who had been silent for a long time, opened his mouth indifferently as his azure blue eyes seemed to be flickering. If you have no objections, then let Gui Yu become devil class's teacher. Qiao Jin's expression could no longer be described as ugly. Even the usually expressionless, puppet-like Mo Yuing also widened that pair of lively and adorable big eyes, staring at Long Yunzhan in disbelief. Was this still their Sir Class Monitor? Why did it seem as though ever since Yiqing Luo appeared, Sir Class Monitor seemed to have changed into another person? Initially on the first day when Yiqing Luo just entered the class, Long Yunzhan came to devil class twice, which made Xiao Jin and the rest secretly guessed. Originally, Xiao Jin was certain that Long Yunzhan had feelings for Yiqing Luo. But in the following half a month, Long Yunzhan was the same as before, not coming to devil class at all. Just at this moment, their hearts were finally put at ease, dispelling the idea of the godly class monitor having mortal heart. But now, it seemed as though they were relieved too early. Xiao Jin and the rest were able to stay by Long Yunzhan's side for so many years, naturally they weren't fools. By now, how would they not understand that Long Yunzhan specially asked Yiqing Luo to give a reason to accept Gui Yu, was actually to convince them. Right from the start, Long Yunzhan had no intention to reject Yiqing Luo's suggestion. This was simply too inconceivable. I don't agree. I definitely don't agree. Outside the door, a lady's cold voice was heard. The class committee's door was pushed open and a lady dressed in green and white uniform stood at the entrance. Her expression was icy cold, but her brows were filled with unyielding stubbornness. I only acknowledge class monitor and only listen to his training. Tong Ziqing, who allowed you to barge into the class committee? Qiao Jin's face sunk as he shouted sternly. Tong Ziqing raised her head up high with a calm look. I'm willing to accept the punishment for the crime of trespassing. But as a student of devil class, I have the right to raise my opinion. You. Qiao Jin's brows immediately knitted tightly. He naturally saw through Tong Ziqing's thoughts towards Long Yunzhan. Just as he was, Yiqing Luo's raised her hand. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curled up slightly as she placed her palms on the wooden table and stood up slowly. Although she was not as tall as Tong Ziqing, she released a majestic aura when she stood up. Tong Ziqing's heart skipped a beat, and she subconsciously took half a step back. Indeed, every student has the right to voice out their own opinions. Since student Tong has an opinion, I'm all ears. Yiqing Luo gave a bewitching smile. However, that smile made Tong Ziqing's hair stand on end. His throat seemed to be blocked by something, and he couldn't utter a single word for a long time. Tions was teacher from. She. But Luan on, long ling lu, tion long said. Yi Qing Luo leaned against the wooden chair as she crossed her arms. Student Tong, are you in devil class for your studies or for the class monitor? The moment she said that, the entire room fell into a dead silence. Tong Ziqing's face flushed red. She liked Long Yunzhan and everyone in devil class knew that. However, she had openly revealed this matter in front of Long Yunzhan. No matter how noble and elegant she was still a young lady after all. Chapter 307. On the contrary, Long Yunzhan's expression was calm, as though the class monitor which Yi Qing Luo mentioned wasn't him. Tong Ziqing had wanted to take the opportunity to sneak a peek at Long Yunzhan's face to see his answer. But as soon as he saw it, his heart turned cold. If it's for the class monitor, even if Gue Yu becomes the teacher of the devil class, the class monitor is still the class monitor of the devil class. You can still cling on to the class monitor and pester him every day. Yi Qing Luo didn't seem to notice the strange atmosphere as she continued talking. Her brows slightly raised, her charming eyes revealing a teasing look. If it's for learning, having Gue Yu as a teacher is naturally beneficial to you. So, do you have any other opinions? Her words caused Tong Ziqing's face to turn red. She clenched her fists tightly, and her entire body trembled. Fortunately, Tong Ziqing had a strong mental fortitude. If it were any other woman, she would have covered her face and left in tears. She forcefully suppressed the surging anger within her, controlling her own emotions as her icy cold beautiful eyes stared icily at Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo, someone like you is totally not fit to be in the class committee. Tong Ziqing. Xiao Jin shouted in a low voice when he saw the two of them quarreling in public. He walked forward to take Tong Ziqing away. Tong Ziqing forcefully pushed Xiao Jin away as a trace of viciousness surfaced on her cold and beautiful face. Yi Qing Luo, do you feel that you're very great? You are very proud of helping that trash and I Rupan advance, right? But, do you know that this kind of sympathy of yours is totally not needed in the devil class? Yi Qing Luo scoffed softly as she glanced at Tong Ziqing with a smile that didn't look like a smile. This gaze caused the anger in Tong Ziqing's heart to rise to its peak. Don't always think of yourself as the savior of the world. Ni Rupan needs your help, but I don't. For someone like Ni Rupan, even if she graduates from the academy, she'll only be a burden to others and drag them down in the world of martial arts. Your kindness today will cause the death of others. The more Tong Ziqing said, the more ridiculous she felt Yi Qing Luo was. Not only did he want to help Ni Rupan, he also wanted to help Gue Yu enter the devil class. Did Yi Qing Luo really felt that she had this ability? Pooh! After Tong Ziqing roared, her chest heaved up and down as she panted heavily. Her secret of liking Long Yunzhan had already been exposed by Yi Qing Luo in public, so she didn't intend to keep any face at all. Today, she would never agree to let Gue Yu enter the devil class. Unexpectedly, after Tong Ziqing finished howling, Yi Qing Luo laughed softly. Her eyes were filled with mockery and her pink lips curled into a smile filled with disdain. Foolish. Two clear words spilled out from Yi Qing Luo's pink lips. Tong Ziqing's face turned ashen. As for Xiao Jin, who went up to stop them, he stared at Yi Qing Luo in astonishment. As though she had not expected Yi Qing Luo to ridicule Tong Ziqing without giving her any face. Actually, Xiao Jin and the rest also greatly approved of Tong Ziqing's words in their hearts. Otherwise, he wouldn't have allowed his students to bully Ni Rupan. To them, they were weak to begin with. If they didn't think about improving themselves, then they should be prepared to be abandoned. Because it wasn't that they didn't give the weak a chance, but Ni Rupan herself didn't need this chance. But after Yi Qing Luo came to devil class, she stood up for Ni Rupan time and time again, even attempting to change Ni Rupan. Chapter 308. Number 1. Yi Qing Luo raised one finger as her half-squinted eyes flashed a trace of ridicule. no matter if you are willing or not, Master Guiyu is the teacher that the academy had arranged to teach in the devil class. As a student, you can only listen obediently. She paused for a moment as her pink lips curled slightly. Of course, you can try to gather your classmates and use the same method to deal with those teachers in the devil class to deal with Master Guiyu. If you are able to successfully force Master Guiyu to retreat, I, Yi Qing Luo, will be the first to submit to you. Tong Zi Qing clenched her fists tightly as her expression turned sinister. Yi Qing Luo's words were obviously intentional. Guiyu was the exception in this academy as his ability was unfathomable. Especially that day at the training ground, she saw Guiyu smashing the second courtyard door with one palm, which showed how bad his temper was. If she used the same old method to deal with Guiyu, she would probably lose her life. Don't dare. Yi Qing Luo saw the anger in Tong Zi Qing's eyes as she sneered, if you are afraid, don't have the courage, then be like a tortoise and hide your head. Yi Qing Luo put up 2 fingers tightly. Number 2, I am willing to help and I Ruo Pan. That is my matter. Your ignorance has nothing to do with me. She lowered her hand, and her resolute gaze swept across everyone in the room. You think that the weak are dragging others down and deserve to be abandoned. But have you ever thought that no matter how weak the weak are, they are still your comrades? Tong Zi Qing was stunned. Long Yunzhan's azure blue eyes started to fluctuate faintly. What is the reason why you want to become stronger? To stand at the peak of your life? To have a better reputation, to act cool and slap faces everywhere you go? Or to show off to others how strong you are? Tong Zi Qing didn't answer as she bit her lower lip tightly, unable to respond to Yi Qing Luo's question. Yi Qing Luo's gaze fell onto Qiao Jin. However, those few avoided her gaze, unwilling to answer. Yi Qing Luo's pink lips curled slightly as she continued, I am doing this to survive in this world, to protect those people whom I care about. A person who can't even find a reason to become stronger, is there any meaning in becoming stronger brainlessly? Tong Ziqing hung her head in shame, her fingers clenching her sleeves tightly. Most importantly, when a person embarks on the path to becoming a powerhouse, they cannot do without a team and companions around them. Yi Qing Luo's gaze was fiery as she looked straight at Long Yunzhan. Class monitor had trained devil class's students to such a strong state, but in their hearts, the only one they submit to is the class monitor and the class committee members. But if we're talking about unity, I'm sure you can feel it. These people can fight together over small matters, but when it comes to matters of life and death, they all stay away from each other. Without waiting for Long Yunzhan to speak, Yan Xiaoyi blinked her bright eyes and clapped her hands. Yes. You're absolutely right. You've only been in the devil class for half a month, how can you tell? The first day. Yi Qing Luo replied indifferently. If the class was really united, Ni Rupan wouldn't have been bullied. These students, because they were once trash, had been injured by others. Other than herself, other than Long Yunzhan and the class committee members who had saved them from hell, they were unable to sincerely accept anyone else. However, a large part of the reason was also because Qiao Jin and the rest were people who were used to being alone. You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.